Hello and welcome everybody to another StarCraft 2 cast by Glitch. This is going to be a PvP on Shakuras Plateau between the blue Protoss coLMinigun spawning in the bottom right corner of Shakuras Plateau and MouZHasuObs spawning in the top left corner as the yellow Protoss. As I said, this is going to be a PvP as part of my week of casting only mirror matchups to try to get a little more insight into those PvP, TVT, and ZVZ matchups. MouZHasuObs, a very good European player. This is a best of 3 actually that was played on Battle.net. I do plan to cast all 3. Whether I will get them all posted today is a good question. If I don't get them all up today, I will try to get them all up by, at the very latest, tomorrow. I will get at least 1 or 2 up today, depending on the availability of my internet and my roommates. So, coLMinigun, formerly Root Minigun, just joined Complexity Gaming, shortened for as col. I'm not sure why they shortened it to col, but he used to be part of Root, and when Root merged with Complexity Gaming, Minigun was part of that little deal. I think most of the Root members, I think short of just Destiny, I think Destiny is the only one that he was part of Complexity Gaming for a little while, but there was some kind of issue with a breach of contract or something like that, and Destiny, as I believe at the moment, he is teamless. I do not think he has any team right now. But anyway, back to this game. As I said, coLMinigun spawning in the bottom right corner of Shakuras Plateau is now thrown down a gateway and a gas. They do have slightly different timed gateways. Looks like both players now getting up 1 gas, 1 gateway. Cybernetics core now on the way for MouZHasuObs. So it looks like he's going to be going for some nice, maybe some early stalkers, maybe some fast expanding from both these players. I wouldn't be surprised. It's fairly common in PvP these days to, if not place some early pressure with some early gateway units, then to just go for a quick expand and just scout your opponent, just make sure they're not doing anything too 4-gatey or anything too early pressure oriented. Nothing too spectacular up. There is a bit of a faster cyber core, excuse me. I was corrected. I believe I mentioned this in a previous video, but in one of my previous videos I was corrected in I used to call it a cybo core. I'm not sure where I picked that up from. I'm not sure if it was if one of the other casters calls it that, and since I just watched so many other casts, I started calling it a cybo core, or whether that was just something of my own design. But I definitely was calling it a cybo core way too much, and one of my lovely subscribers, pointed out to me that I was calling it a cybo core rather than a cyber core as it properly should be called. So I will now try as often as I can to break the habit and refer to it as a cyber core. Interesting. Now, on the coLMinigun side of things, we have a gateway that has gone down, followed by the cyber core, directly into a robotics facility. So it'll be interesting to see whether we're just going to be getting up, using this for a quick observer, maybe a quick immortal to defend against any kind of early stalker pushes. Both players have their warp gate tech coming up right now, almost equally timed. They both are similarly timed. One's about 10 seconds ahead, it looks like. There is a stalker now coming out onto the field for HasuObs, and I believe he will probably send this to his opponent's base for some quick scouting information, because I don't think either player has seen too much yet. There are a few stalkers now moving across the field. There is a probe out here, so coLMinigun is going to see these 2 stalkers coming, and he only has 1 stalker. He will probably force field that ramp to prevent the scout by MouZHasuObs. No, the force field has gone down. Yes, there's the very nice force field there by coLMinigun, trapping that 1 stalker up there. So Minigun's going to get that early stalker kill. Not before HasuObs gets some good scouting information, though. He has now scouted this robotics facility, his 2 gateways, and is now producing a robotics facility and another gateway of his own. The other, there is a sentry that has now moved into the base. I'm not sure why Minigun chose to, or rather, all 3 stalkers have now gotten into the base, but this Immortal is now on the field and will stop this Stalker from doing too much more damage. Ooh, and the Stalker does get trapped by those probes. Nice little bit of control there by Minigun, and it does get taken out with not too much damage dealt. I don't think he got any. Oh, I guess he got one worker kill in that exchange. Not the best exchange there. They're pretty much identical on units killed right now. Robotics Bay now coming down for oh, I almost said Root Minigun. Yikes, gonna have to get away from that one. A robotics bay, I'm sorry, is now down for coLMinigun. It looks like he'll be going for some Colossus this game, so we're going to see some Colossus coming out of Minigun. No expansions yet down from either player, just a few gateways. We have 3 gateways. I think we have almost identical tech right now. We have 3 gateways up for both players. Both players have a 3rd gateway coming up. Both players have that robotics facility up with a robotics bay. So we are seeing pretty much identical builds here from both MouZHasuObs and coLMinigun. And neither player has expanded at all, so both players are just going to be teching up a little bit, getting some units out on the field, both going for fairly lean unit mixes right now. MouZHasport's choosing to go for a few more Zealots, meaning that he's saving a little bit more gas for that tech, and he's getting that Colossus up. And haven't seen that Thermal Lance come up yet. That is the Colossus range. There is now an observer in MouZHasuObs' base of coLMinigun that is now scouting, and he will now see that they are going for pretty much the same thing. They are both doing pretty much identical builds. Both have extended Thermal Lance. Both are about to have their first Colossus out on the field. But MouZHasuObs has gone for his expansion. There is no expansion yet for Minigun, so this means that Minigun is going to have a little bit bigger of an army, but we will see whether he chooses to actually attack with that army. I don't think he has yet scouted. No, he has not yet scouted that expansion that has gone down. That expansion is almost up, and he will start mining soon, meaning he will start to get ahead in economy if Minigun doesn't come in and try to do some damage here or expand on his own, which he still has not done. So he is still just producing forces, so he is going to get a little ahead in the unit game. I think if we check out the Harvester tab, yes, both players are pretty much equal in Harvesters right now. And both players, man, with just really similar armies. Lots of Zealots down for Minigun. This is a move that I like. They do not have Zealot charge yet, but a lot of Zealots down. This is going to allow that Colossus to do a lot of damage, because these Zealots will move in and hold all the opponent's units back a little ways, while that Colossus does a lot of damage. Wow, we have almost identical unit mixes here for both players. If we check out the Units tab, we have 10 Zealots to 9 Zealots. We do have an Immortal down for Minigun. 2 Colossus now on the field from MouZHasuObs. Only 1 Colossus currently on the field for Minigun, though I think this might be, yes, another one moving across the map now. So we have very, very similar unit mixes, but this is a lot of forces here by MouZHasuObs, and I think he's going to be able to push this force back, especially with those 2 Colossus. That is going to be a lot of damage on those Zealots. So Minigun now just pulling back. He does have this forward pylon in place where he is going to be warping in more units, warping in more Zealots for holding those units back, so that those Colossus can deal a lot of damage. Neither player has charge yet. I do like to have that charge up in PvP matchups, just because once those Zealots can charge in, they can immediately hold those forces back or force them to pull back a little bit. If you tend to get a Zealot charge up before your opponents, you tend to be in quite a good advantage, just because your Zealots get to charge in first, meaning that you are fighting where you want to fight rather than where your opponent wants to fight, or clashing in the middle. Your Zealots are charging in and immediately pinning those units back. Ooh, a lot of forces here moving in, a lot of damage being dealt to these Colossus. These Colossus from Minigun really need to be pulled back. These Colossus still at full health. See how these Zealots have now charged in, and they are holding these forces back. See how they're pressed right up against MouZHasuObs' forces, allowing these Colossus to, even though they have taken a lot more damage than MouZHasuObs' forces, they are being allowed to do a lot more damage because they were farther back, and MouZHasuObs was unable to do much damage to those Colossus because these Zealots were doing a very nice job in, he was positioning those Zealots forward and pinning those forces back. See this higher Zealot count right now for Minigun means that MouZHasuObs is going to have to pull back until he can get some more zealots, because those zealots are what pushes those units back. Now, I do like this move by coLMinigun. He is placing his units here in a forward position. He knows he's in an advantageous position here with his army, and this means that he can just park his army out here while he expands. He has now expanded, and he has now pinned his opponent back here to these two bases so that his opponent cannot take a third, and this allows him to keep him contained at least until MouZHasuObs is able to macro up an army, a larger army of his own. He probably will be warping more units in here to try to keep this army, yes, there they come now, to try to keep this to be a bigger army, trying to keep a very lean mix of stalkers in there, a very light mix of stalkers in there, because these stalkers are good at dealing damage, but you need to have these zealots here at the front to take the damage, so that you want an army mostly composed of zealots. You want to go very zealot heavy, as Minigun is doing, and I believe, yes, MouZHasuObs is also doing. He's trying to keep a heavy zealot mix, and I like this move by MouZHasuObs here. He knows he's contained, so he's just coming out with those Colossus every now and then and poking in. But Minigun is moving in here. It looks like he does have quite a bit of an army advantage, I think, right now, with that Immortal at the front, able to take a lot of damage from those stalkers and deal a lot of damage to those stalkers, and these 4 Colossus now coming in, dealing massive amounts of damage. Massive amounts of damage. Some force fields going down there, but those force fields are not going to be long for this world, as those Colossus will just trample those force fields. Any units that are considered to be massive units, as Colossus will just smash those force fields, making them quite ineffective against any Colossus army. More forces moving in for coLMinigun. This is a lot of stuff here to have to deal with. He is now pouring in. He knows that the zealots have gone down on both sides, so he is now warping in more stalkers to try to deal more damage. He wants more damage now that he has taken out all the zealots of MouZHasuObs. And these Colossus just dealing massive damage. These Colossus coming in, forcing MouZHasuObs to have to try to go around these stalkers, while these stalkers deal a lot of damage to his units, to try to get to these Colossus, because these Colossus are the high priority target. This is a lot of units in here now for coLMinigun, and I expect a GG any moment here from MouZHasuObs, because there is no way he's going to be able to defend that. So well played, timing, push, and pin there by coLMinigun, meaning that we are going on to Game 2 to see if MouZHasuObs can recover from that loss. Into Game 2 in a moment, guys.